St. Patrick's Day Horror Stories. This is Mr. H. You're listening to Masked Horror. The Vanishing Pub Crawl. March 17th, 2016. St. Patrick's Day. I remember every detail of that night, like a bad dream that won't go away. I was out with my best friends, Jake, Mark, and Tyler. We'd been looking forward to the annual pub crawl for weeks, planning to hit every Irish bar downtown and get completely wasted. It was tradition. Jake was the responsible one, though. He never drank too much, never got out of control. He was the guy who made sure everyone got home safe. That's what makes this whole thing even more messed up. That night, the city was packed, green everywhere, streets overflowing with drunk college kids, guys in leprechaun hats, girls wearing "Kiss Me, I'm Irish" shirts. The bars were shoulder to shoulder crowded, loud with music and laughter. Around 1:30 a.m., we were at McCaffrey's, our third stop of the night. Jake said he was going to the bathroom and disappeared into the crowd. That was the last time I ever saw him. He never came back. 15 minutes passed, then 20. I remember laughing with Mark and Tyler about something stupid when I realized Jake still wasn't back. I pushed through the crowd toward the hallway leading to the restrooms. A dimly lit corridor lined with sticky floors, the stench of spilled beer and bleach. A bouncer was standing by the emergency exit, scrolling through his phone. "Hey man, did you see a guy come through here? About 6'2", dark hair, blue flannel." He barely looked up. "Nah." I knocked on the men's room door. No answer. Pushed it open. Empty. A weird feeling crept up my spine. I checked outside. Maybe he went for air. Nothing. The sidewalk was just a sea of drunk strangers, people too busy celebrating to care about the growing pain in my chest. I called him, straight to voicemail. At first, Mark and Tyler joked, saying maybe he met a girl or caught an Uber home, but I knew Jake better than that. He wouldn't just leave. Something was wrong. By 6 a.m., I was on the phone with the police. I'll never forget how casual they were about it. "He's an adult. He's probably just sleeping it off somewhere," they said. But he wasn't. He wasn't at his apartment. His phone was off. His bank account was untouched. No Uber, no Lyft, no text to anyone. It was like he disappeared into thin air. That's when I checked the security footage from the bar. I sat in the back office of McCaffrey's, staring at the grainy footage. The camera caught Jake walking down the hallway toward the bathroom. He was there, but he never came back out. I rewound the footage, watching over and over again. He entered the hallway at 1:32 a.m. The last frame showed him walking into the men's room. That was it. No footage of him leaving. No one saw him exit through the emergency door. Jake just vanished in a place with only one way in and out. 3 weeks later, they found Jake in the river. Face down, bloated, unrecognizable, miles away from the bar. His wallet and phone were missing. The police called it an accidental drowning. They said he was drunk, probably fell in the river, and nobody noticed. Case closed. But I didn't believe that. Jake wasn't that drunk, and even if he was, how did he get there? He would have had to walk over 2 miles, past busy streets, past cops, past security cameras. And then I found out he wasn't the first. Over the last 10 years, dozens of young men have vanished just like Jake, all on St. Patrick's Day, all in major cities, all found in rivers weeks later. No signs of struggle, no evidence of a crime, just gone. Some people think it's just a coincidence, drunk guys, bad decisions, tragic accidents. But then I read about the smiley face killers, a theory that there's a hidden network of people, maybe serial killers, maybe something worse, who prey on young drunk men. Some believe they abduct their victims, kill them, and then dump their bodies in water to erase evidence. And here's the part that makes my blood run cold. On a brick wall near the river where they found Jake's body, someone had spray painted a smiley face. The police still refuse to investigate. They won't listen. They just chalk it up to another drunken accident. But I know the truth. Something took Jake that night, and it's still happening. If you think I'm crazy, just look it up. Look up the smiley face killers. Look up the disappearances. Because every year on St. Patrick's Day, another guy goes missing, and no one ever does a damn thing about it. So if you're out drinking this year, if you find yourself alone, separated from your friends, if you ever feel like someone's watching you, following you, guiding you somewhere, don't go. And whatever you do, don't end up in the river. The unlucky charm. I don't believe in curses. At least, I didn't. A week before St. Patrick's Day, I wandered into this small antique shop tucked between two closed-down storefronts, the kind of place you walk past 100 times and never notice. But that day, it caught my eye. Inside, the air was thick with dust and the scent of old wood. Trinkets, porcelain dolls, and strange, faded paintings cluttered the shelves. As I browsed, I saw it, a small, golden shamrock pendant sitting in a glass case. It was delicate, slightly tarnished, but beautiful. "That one's not for sale," a voice said behind me. I turned to see the shopkeeper, an old Irish woman with cloudy blue eyes, deep wrinkles lining her face. She spoke in a thick accent, her voice low. It belonged to a woman who lost everything, she said. Her husband, her sons. A fire took them all. And the next owner, a young man, hit by a trolley 2 days after buying it. The one after him drowned in his own bathtub. It does not bring luck, dear. It brings something else. I laughed it off. It was just a story. Some old superstition meant to drive up the price. $20, I said. She hesitated. Then, slowly, she took the pendant from the case and placed it in my hand. Her fingers were ice cold. That's when I should have realized I should have left it there. At first, it was just little things. That night, I tripped going up the stairs to my apartment, face planting hard enough to split my lip. The next morning, I dropped my coffee and shattered the mug I'd had for years. My phone kept deleting texts from my best friend, making it seem like I was ignoring her. By the time St. Patrick's Day rolled around, I was on edge. But the worst part, the dreams. Every night since I put on the pendant, I had the same nightmare. A woman standing at the foot of my bed, whispering. I couldn't make out the words, but the way she moved, jerky and unnatural, made my stomach churn. The last time I woke up screaming was when I finally heard it. Give it back. By the time the holiday rolled around, I felt like I was losing my mind. I met up with some friends at a crowded bar downtown. I tried to shake the paranoia, blaming everything on stress and bad sleep. But even in the sea of green-clad people, I felt like someone was watching me. Then, as I stood near the entrance, sipping my beer, I saw her. A woman, pale, soaking wet, her hair hanging over her face like she'd just climbed out of a lake. Her lifeless eyes locked onto mine. I felt my stomach drop. The bar spun around me. I felt a sharp pain in my chest, like something was pressing down. I tried to look away, but I couldn't move. Then, a hand grabbed my arm. "Lisa, hey, you okay?" It was my friend Sarah, shaking me, concern all over her face. I blinked. The woman was gone. I left the bar early, my heart hammering. I needed to get rid of the damn pendant. On my way home in an Uber, I passed by the old antique shop. It was gone. I don't mean closed for the night. It had a for sale sign. I thought that was weird, but I wasn't surprised. But seeing that sign only made my stomach feel worse than it already did. I knew what I needed to do. I pulled it from my neck and threw it into a reservoir near my apartment. The second it left my fingers, I felt lighter. But when I got home, something was wrong. The door to my apartment was unlocked. I swore I locked it before leaving. My hands trembled as I turned the knob and stepped inside. Pitch black, silent. Then, I don't remember much after that. The police found me the next morning, curled in a corner, shaking, clutching the pendant so tightly it had cut into my palm. Apparently, I had called the police. I tried telling them what happened, but all they found was my door still locked from the inside. No sign of forced entry. No evidence of anyone else in the apartment. They took me to a hospital. They thought I had some kind of breakdown. To be honest, maybe I did. I left the pendant at the hospital once I was discharged. I haven't had any issues since. But I still hear that voice sometimes at night. That cold whisper. Give it back. If you ever find an antique that someone warns you about, if they tell you it has a history of tragedy, misfortune, or death, don't take it. Because once it chooses you, it never lets go. The Green Stalker. St. Patrick's Day was supposed to be fun. It was supposed to be just another night out, drinking with friends, laughing, celebrating. I never thought it would turn into the most terrifying night of my life. I wish I'd stayed home. It started at O'Malley's Pub, a packed Irish bar downtown, the kind of place where the floors are sticky, the Guinness flows like water, and everyone is just drunk enough to feel invincible. I was there with my best friends, Jess and Maddie, dressed in ridiculous green outfits and leprechaun hats. The place was loud, and I was already a few drinks in when I noticed him. A man standing across the room, dressed entirely in green, a dark green jacket, green pants, and even a green hat. Something about him felt off, like really off. He wasn't drinking, wasn't talking to anyone. Who comes out to a bar and doesn't do those things? That's just weird. He just stood there, staring at me. I felt my stomach twist. I turned away, laughing it off. Maybe he was just some weird drunk guy. It was St. Patrick's Day after all. But every time I glanced up, he was still watching, unblinking, unmoving. A couple of hours later, we left the bar, stepping into the cold night air. The streets were still crowded, the city buzzing with drunken energy. I had almost forgotten about the man in green and dressed as a leprechaun until I saw him again, standing on the corner, still staring. My breath hitched, my pulse spiked. Guys, don't look, but I think someone's following us, I whispered. Jess, half drunk, turned immediately. Who? Is he hot? I shot her a glare. Oh, that guy, she said. Yeah, that's creepy. I tried to play it cool, walking faster, weaving through the crowd, but with every step, I could feel him behind me. When we reached our rideshare pickup, I practically threw myself into the Uber, locking the door the second I got inside. I let out a shaky breath, finally safe. Then I looked out the window. The man in green was standing across the street, watching. As the Uber pulled away, I kept my eyes on him. Then I saw it. He got into a black sedan and pulled out behind us. He was following. My heart pounded as I watched the headlights in the rearview mirror. Block after block, turn after turn, he stayed with us. He's still behind us, I whispered to the driver. Can we take a different route? The driver gave me a weird look, but nodded, taking a random side street. Then, the black sedan continued to follow us. I felt sick. Can you just drive around a bit before dropping me off? I asked. I wasn't about to let this guy see where I lived. After 15 minutes of random turns, we finally lost him. Or at least, I thought I did. By the time I got home, I was still shaking. I locked every door, checked every window. I didn't feel safe, but at least I was inside. I climbed into bed, but sleep didn't come easy. Every noise made my skin crawl. The creak of the pipes, the wind against the glass, the distant hum of passing cars. Then, at 3:12 a.m., my phone buzzed. A motion alert from my backyard camera. Maddie and Jess were dead drunk, so I knew it wasn't them. Dread coiled in my stomach as I unlocked my phone and pulled up the live feed. The image froze my blood. A man standing in my backyard, dressed entirely in green, staring directly at the camera. I covered my mouth with my hand to keep from screaming. Then, the feed cut to black. My hands trembled as I called 911. There's a man in my backyard, I whispered. He followed me home. I don't know how he found me, but we're sending a unit now, the dispatcher said. I huddled in the corner of my bedroom, phone clutched in my hands, waiting. The red and blue lights flashed through my window about 5 minutes later. By the time the officers checked the yard, the man was gone. No footprints, no forced entry, just gone. They took my statement, looked around, but nothing came of it. Probably just some drunk guy messing around, one of the cops said. I wanted to scream. I knew what I saw. The police left. Maddie and Jess were still half drunk and half asleep. I sat awake until sunrise, waiting, terrified he'd come back. But he never did. And for a moment, I thought maybe, just maybe it was over. Then, my phone buzzed again. Another motion alert. It was a deer in the backyard. The clip ended. I felt relieved, but he knew where I lived. However, the worst part of the story, I never saw him again. Nothing ever happened. I wasn't attacked. I wasn't kidnapped. He never came back. And that's the part that still haunts me. Which story gave you the creeps? Leave a comment and celebrate responsibly and stay safe.